This is Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert, a NASCAR podcast. Wow, what a wonderful time for the start of the ARCA, Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup Series seasons for their wild rides at Daytona. And of course, all eyes, and even President Trump's, would be on the 67th running of the Great American Race. Splash of Gas would be reporting live from Daytona from the dual races and on. The energy would be high in the infield as fans would pack throughout the weekend. Recap from all four races, plus interviews with Truck Series driver Chandler Smith, an Xfinity driver, and a Cup Series winner at Daytona, Harrison Burton. That and so much more on this episode of Splash of Gas. As always, we are sponsored by Magical Travel with Dave, a.k.a. Disney Dave Weichert, my father. He'll be able to help you with all your Disney and Universal vacation needs. He can be reached at DisneyDaveW@Verizon.net. Please make sure you follow all the Splash of Gas social medias for on-track and midweek updates. Instagram and Facebook are Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert. Now available on Twitch for some live Splash of Gas. Please check that out at _Dave Weichert. The annual weekend trip to the east coast of Florida has now pretty much turned into a week-long visit for me. From New Smyrna Tuesday, then the start of the Daytona activities with the duels on Thursday. Great conversations and times had with many fans. Truck Series, unlike ARCA and Xfinity, would be able to get their qualifying session in Friday afternoon and race later that evening. Shout out to 74-year-old Pennsylvania-based driver Norm Benning, who qualified for the race 22nd fastest. The front row would consist of Thor Motorsport trucks and two past Truck Series champs. Ben Rhodes would be on the pole, followed by last year's champ Ty Majeski. Corey Heim would be the fastest Toyota in third. Was lucky enough to talk to Chandler Smith before the race. He'd be leaving Joe Gibbs' Xfinity program at the end of last season and will race full-time in the 38 truck for Front Row Motorsports, which should be a championship contending truck. This isn't Chandler's first rodeo full-time in the Truck Series. He's won 6 Truck Series races previously with Kyle Busch Motorsports. Smith would be starting 6. Here's what Chandler had to say.
David Weichert with Chandler Smith. How you feeling after qualifying, man?
I feel pretty good. I'm excited to be able to talk about motorsports and look forward to get the season started.
Yeah, new team hopping back to the Truck Series. You ready for this?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm definitely looking forward to the challenge that's ahead.
Okay, awesome. Predicted you as the winner of this race, so go out there and get it, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate the brief conversation with Chandler as he was literally getting into his truck. Action would happen early at the Truck Series race. A lap 4, Caden Honeycutt in the 45 would be battling Ben Rhodes for position early. Honeycutt would get loose off turn 4 and wreck out, ending his day. Another yellow caused by spinning Tony Breidinger would set up a one-lap dash for stage 1. Ben Rhodes would lead on the outside with Grant Enfinger on the inside. Rhodes would get a big push from Johnny Sauter, pushing him to the lead and winning stage 1. Unlike the first stage, stage 2 would have no yellows. Past multi-time truck champ Matt Crafton would find the lead on lap 34 and go on to take the second stage. The final stage is where the rest of the action would unfold. Corey Heim and Daniel Hemrick would be on the front row. Another restart would occur on lap 56. 3 laps later, Chandler Smith would have control of the lead. After a yellow with 28 to go, most of the lead lap trucks would pit. Rookie Gio Ruggiero would lead on the restart with 21 laps to go. Then Front Row Motorsports teammates of Chandler Smith and Lane Riggs would pass Ruggiero for the first and second positions. The final caution would occur with 17 to go. Jack Wood was turned into the wall by Ben Rhodes, collecting Raja Carruth, Nathan Bird, Matt Crafton, Michael McDowell, Ty Majeski, and Tony Breidinger. With the way the trucks were driving and pushing so aggressively, truthfully thought we would see at least another 2 yellows, but that was not the case. They would restart with 11 to go with Chandler Smith and Tanner Gray on the front row. 1 lap later, Ruggiero would take the lead again. 7 laps to go. Inside lane would collapse as Chandler Smith fades with front end damage. 4 laps to go. Bailey Curry and Ben Rhodes jump down to pass Ruggiero. He misses a block and Gio falls all the way back to 8th. 3 laps to go. Ben Rhodes takes the lead with Parker Kligerman and Lade Riggs hot on his tail. Still couldn't believe they haven't wrecked yet. Final lap. Ben Rhodes and Johnny Sauter wreck down the backstretch, fighting for the first position. Parker Kligerman and Corey Heim would get through. Kligerman would be front at the time of the yellow. Parker Kligerman would be awarded the win. After post-race inspection, unfortunately, Parker Kligerman would be disqualified. Kligerman's number 75 Henderson Motorsports Chevrolet truck was too low on the rear end on both sides. Corey Heim has been declared the winner of the race. This past Thursday, Henderson would appeal the DSQ. A 3-member appeals panel upheld the penalties. Tough break for NASCAR journeyman Parker Kligerman, but a good start for championship favorite Corey Heim. That's just sometimes how the cookie crumbles. Now for trivia time. This episode's question: who won the first NASCAR race in Atlanta in 1960? Answer and more history about Atlanta Motor Speedway coming at the end. Now for the ARCA Series recap. Even though the ARCA race was wreck after wreck, as expected with young, unexperienced drivers, Saturday early afternoon, but in the end, late model legend in his first full-time ARCA season, Brendan Butterbean Queen would keep his car clean and secure the win. We had Butterbean on the show during the January practice, and he foreshadowed his win as well. Here's a piece of that audio.
Pretty cool drafting with Helio.
Yeah, that's pretty dang cool. I never knew I'd get any of these opportunities, like I always said, and then what better story than the most probably redneck country guy on the tour, and
Seen you at Florence, and you were drafted with him. I was like, hell yeah.
And now getting to work with an Indy 500 champ, Rolex winner, somebody that I look up to and can lean on, and it's been fun. We've been leaning on each other, and I think we work really good together. So I'd be happy with a 1-2 with me and Helio. Both of us probably climbed the fence.
Yeah, for sure. Heck yeah. So really appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Was in victory lane with Butterbean with his crew and family. You can see the raw emotion on his face. They were so pumped, and he is a true definition of a homegrown racer. B Nation, rise up. Way to go, Brandon. Now for the Xfinity recap. What has turned into a Saturday morning Daytona tradition for me, waking up early to get to the track prior to the 10 a.m. Xfinity qualifying session to watch above the garages in the infield, but unfortunately, they would get halfway through the qualifying, then a thick mist would hit the track, and then qualifying would be canceled and based on last year's points. Justin Allgaier and Taylor Gray would be on the front row. Was lucky enough to talk to Harrison Burton, who, after 2 years of driving in the Cup Series for Wood Brothers, is full-time in the Xfinity Series this year with AM Racing driving their 25 car. Harrison won the August Daytona Cup race last season. Here's what Harrison had to say.
Doing good. Dave Weicker here. Harrison Burton just had the practice for Xfinity. How are you feeling with this team?
Good. It's a new team, so a lot of newness, but a lot of good things. We got a lot of good people and excited about it. So it's a great opportunity for us to kind of start the year off right tomorrow, and hopefully have a good qualifying, have a good race after that, and get out of here in victory lane.
Heck yeah. Obviously had success here last year at the Cup Series. Feel like you can build off that in the Xfinity?
Yeah, I think so. Just confidence. Anytime you can win at a Cup level, you feel good in anything else, right? So
it was awesome watching from the grandstand.
It was fun, man. I enjoyed it. So try and do it again tomorrow.
Heck yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Was so cool talking to a Cup Series winner, even though he's back in Xfinity. Really appreciated Harrison's time. Now for the race recap. As mentioned, Justin Allgaier and Tanner Gray would be on the front row to get the race underway. We would see a wreck early on lap 6 when Jesse Love would be pushing Brandon Jones a little bit too hard, triggering a 7-car accident. Austin Hill would find his way up front after the restart. He would navigate one more yellow to win stage 1. After most of the leaders would pit, Justin Allgaier and Harrison Burton would be on the front row to bring the race to green. By lap 49, Hill would be up front and the top 7 cars would be single file. 10 laps later, Sheldon Creed would get into the bumper of the third place driver, Nick Sanchez, putting Sanchez hard into the wall, ending his day. Austin Hill would win stage 2 under that yellow. The start of the final stage would see some great racing between Sheldon Creed, Austin Hill, and Ryan Sieg. By lap 71, Hill would get past Creed, but 4 laps later, cars would complain that Hill's car is leaking fluid on the track. The pit parade would start on lap 82. On lap 87, when the remaining cars would come to the pits, Ryan Ellis would be too fast and ram into the 92 of Josh Bilicki, bringing out the yellow. On the restart, it would be a drag race between Sheldon Creed and Jesse Love, exchanging the lead a few times. Somehow, with 7 laps to go, Justin Allgaier would cause 2 wrecks, forcing the race into overtime. On the overtime restart, it would be Jesse Love and Sam Mayer. Love is able to clear Mayer. As Jesse Love would take the white flag, Jordan Anderson would turn Justin Allgaier, causing a wild multi-car crash near the start-finish line. Yellow flag is out. Jesse Love is declared the winner. Congrats to Jesse and that Richard Childress Xfinity team. Now, for what we've been waiting for all week, the Daytona 500. Over-the-top pre-race ceremonies featuring the Rizzler, Mr. Worldwide Pitbull, President Trump, and of course, the sounds of freedom. The Thunderbirds would get the crowd bumping. Pole winner Chase Briscoe and Austin Cindric would lead the pack to green to start the Great American Race. Unfortunately, by lap 11, the red flag would come out for rain. A 3-hour rain delay would ensue. After that debacle, seemed like the drivers were a little bit stir-crazy, waiting out the rain in their motorhomes. Once the green flag would drop again, there would be hard racing featuring Joey Logano, Corey LaJoie, and Chase Elliott taking turns at the lead. With 2 laps to go in stage 1, Denny Hamlin would get bumped by Zane Smith, sending several cars spinning. This would end stage 1 under yellow, and it would be won by Joey Logano. The start of stage 2 would see more carnage, as it looked like Joey Logano missed a shift on the outside lane, causing a big accordion-style stack-up, creating a big wreck at the back of the pack with 11 cars involved in the crash. The following restart would see Team Penske teammates Ryan Blaney and Austin Cindric on the front row. This would lead into a 3-wide race between Noah Gragson, Ryan Preece, and Austin Cindric. Another yellow for debris would see most of the pack head towards the pits. It would be Cindric and Chase Elliott on the front row on the ensuing restart. After another 3-wide battle, Ryan Preece would lead on lap 100, the halfway point of the race. On lap 124, Cindric and Alex Bowman would be battling side by side on the final lap of stage 2. Ryan Blaney would get a big push from Chase Elliott on the outside to edge out Cindric, giving Ryan Blaney the stage 2 win. Now it all comes down to the final 70 laps, stage 3. With drivers getting restless, already showing 3 wide, what would happen in the 67th Daytona 500? We'll find out. Blaney and Kyle Busch would restart the pack. Couple laps later, we would see a 3-wide battle for the lead, featuring Bubba Wallace, Kyle Busch, and Ryan Blaney. 21 laps later, with Blaney and Wallace edging out the top 2 lines, the yellow would fly for more debris. 34 laps to go, Cindric and Wallace on the restart. 22 laps to go, the top 8 run single file as some save fuel. Corey LaJoie leads the charge on the middle lane. 15 laps to go, enter the Logano show. Joey tries to make it 3 wide, but the hole just wasn't there. This would send Ricky Stenhouse spinning and collecting Ryan Blaney, Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Todd Gilliland, and Cole Custer. Corey LaJoie and Austin Cindric would lead on the following restart with 7 laps to go. With 4 laps to go, we would see the scariest crash of the race, unfortunately. Cole Custer on the outside lane behind Christopher Bell would push Bell a little bit too hard, sending him into the outside wall, then back into the field. Ryan Preece would get the worst of it, and I've never seen a car do this, but the way Bell's car hit Preece's, it caused the wind to get under the nose of Preece's car, doing a wheelie down the backstretch, and would send Ryan flipping into turn 3. Thankfully, Ryan Preece was okay, scary looking from the stands. This would force the Daytona 500 into overtime. Denny Hamlin and Austin Cindric would lead the pack to the 2-lap overtime shootout to declare the winner of the Great American Race. On the final lap, Riley Herbst would get a bump through the tri-oval, but save it. Hamlin would get into the outside, then contact between Custer and Briscoe would trigger a multi-car crash. William Byron, who was running 9th at that time, would sneak past the wrecking cars, followed by Tyler Reddick. William Byron is your 2025 and now back-to-back Daytona 500 champ. Congratulations to Hendrick Motorsports. Quick look back at the predictions. Not my best by far, but Daytona is Daytona. ARCA went with Jake Finch. He finishes 15th. Trucks, like I said, went with Chandler Smith. He finishes 6th after leading a bunch of laps. Xfinity, Nick Sanchez would be up front, but would get caught in that wreck caused by Sheldon Creed. Nick Sanchez would finish 35th. We just went over Ryan Preece's crash. He was leading at lap 100, but we know what happened. Glad Ryan is okay. Preece would finish 32nd. Moving right along into our next segment, and you know what time it is, folks. Discussions with Dave. Can we please have a Daytona 500 end on a green flag? As a fan in the stands for the last 4 500s, at this moment, I think the best finish I've seen in person was the 2022 500 when Austin Cindric won. When Ricky won as the yellow flew in 2023, it was not the finish we wanted, but we put up with it because he's Ricky. I guess if you're a Kyle Busch fan, you might not like Stenhouse, but me and my dad are always looking for Stenhouse on the bigger tracks. For the most part, he's a likable guy. For a while, it seemed like he was causing a lot of the big wrecks, the big ones, on super speedways. But he's got a handful of Cup wins, and finally, the 523. But this is not a knock at William Byron at all. He's put himself in the right positions to win the last 2 500s. But it just seems the other drivers are pushing way too hard with too many laps to go, which just increases the intensity as the laps tick down. Then look, we're in a 2-lap overtime shootout for a 200-lap race. It almost seems that the drivers are forcing moves more and more, sometimes when unnecessary. Yes, of course, that's their job. It's the Daytona 500. Anyone can win. And if you're near the front at the end, of course you're going to try everything. But there needs to be a better middle ground. The wreck with Logano at the end, the move he was trying to pull off, just looked impossible from Logano's in-car camera with the lack of room he had. Moving forward in 2026, I hope the Daytona 500 doesn't end under yellow, as it will start to take away from the spectacular that the race truly is. Our second topic on discussions with Dave, NASCAR issues huge penalties against Chase Briscoe after the Daytona 500. Chase Briscoe's 500 seemed like it was off to a strong start. In his first race for Joe Gibbs Racing, he took Toyota's first pole ever in the 500, then finished 4th. Now things are looking much worse for Briscoe and Joe Gibbs. NASCAR found illegal modifications to his rear spoiler on his car. This results in a staggering loss of both 100 driver and 100 owner points, as well as a loss to 10 playoff points. Following the penalties, Chase now sits at negative 67 points, dead last in the standings. His crew chief, James Smalls, has been suspended for the next 4 points-paying Cup races and is fined $100,000. He cannot return to the pit box until the March 23rd race at Homestead, Miami. This now stands as the biggest points penalty since Stewart-Haas Racing was found to be counterfeiting parts during the 2023 season, which we talked about on the podcast. Guess who was driving for Stewart-Haas in 2023? Chase Briscoe. I'm not sure if there's any coincidence with the driver. Obviously, he isn't making every part for that car, but just a little bit strange how these penalties seem to follow around Briscoe. How will Chase rebound off this? As James Smalls was going to be his crew chief, he is suspended now for the next 4 races. This will be Smalls and Briscoe's first year working together. How will this affect Chase's race results moving forward for the 4 weeks where Smalls will not be at the track? And that was this episode's edition of Discussions with Dave. Now for our yellow flag, green flag segment. Trucks Yellow was pumped for Caden Honeycutt to have a chance the full-time season in the Truck Series for Niche Motorsports, but he will have to do that on a different race. Tough drafting luck for him, leaving the race on the first yellow. Hope he can turn it around in Atlanta. Trucks Green, Rayoum Brothers Racing getting 2 of their trucks in the top 10, with Jason White finishing 8th and Frankie Muniz finishing 10th. Congratulations to both drivers. Xfinity yellow flag, I know it's not his fault, but Brandon Jones just seems to have the worst luck sometimes, and he wrecks on lap 6 and finishes 37th. He should be able to turn it around, though, in that Joe Gibbs Racing Xfinity equipment. Xfinity, green flag, Richard Childress Xfinity team. We know Austin Hill won the 3 previous United Rentals 300s. Austin gets caught in a wreck, and a teammate of Jesse Love picks up the slack and grabs the win. Yellow flag Cup Series. I would pick a driver, but I'm giving it to the rain. They had to move the race last year to Monday due to the weather. It would just be nice to have the race start with no delays. But that's just me being a picky fan. Green flag for the Cup Series, Hendrick Motorsports. They've won the last 2 500s. Yes, there is luck, but always being up front isn't. Congratulations to them again. Now for Fast Davies bets for Atlanta. Trucks, not a prediction to win again, but if Chandler Smith can get past Kyle Busch, Chandler could have something. He's plus 1,000 to win, not a bad one. Xfinity, just like the trucks, the Xfinity odds were only posted for race winners. We saw rookie Jesse Love dominate this race last year. Can the 88 rookie of Connor Zilic do the same with plus 1,400 odds? Not terrible. Cup Series, Eric Jones, top 5 finish is plus 550. Think the driver of the 43 is heating up. Now for trivia answer time / NASCAR history time. This week's question, as we mentioned, who won the first NASCAR race in Atlanta in 1960? Located in Hampton, Georgia, just outside the city of Atlanta, Atlanta Motor Speedway has been hosting NASCAR Cup Series races since 1960. Originally opened as a 1.5-mile oval, the first race in Atlanta was won by Bobby Jones on October 30th, 1960, which is your answer. Beginning in 1987, Atlanta Motor Speedway was moved to the last weekend of the NASCAR season and crowning a new NASCAR champion each year. The most notable of these races was the 1992 event, where a tight 6-way battle for the championship was decided during the race. The race saw Alan Kowicki narrowly win his first championship over $1 Million Bill Elliott just by 10 points in one of the closest championship battles in the history of the sport. This race also notable as it was the debut for Jeff Gordon and the final race for NASCAR legend, the King, Richard Petty. In 1997, Atlanta Motor Speedway underwent massive renovations. The track had a start-finish line relocated in what is now the backstretch to an all-new front stretch, and the track would adopt the current configuration as it now has. This change would increase the size of the track to 1.54 miles in length and would become one of the fastest on the NASCAR schedule. Currently, Atlanta hosts 2 NASCAR race weekends, the Ambetter Health 400 in February and the Quaker State 400 in the second half of the season. In 2022, the track was reconfigured again, changing the banking to 28 degrees and narrowing the track from 55 feet to 40 feet wide. This changed the style of racing in Atlanta, making it closer to Daytona and Talladega. In February 2024, I was present for that race. We saw Daniel Suarez prevailed over Ryan Blaney and Kyle Busch by 0.003 seconds in what is the closest NASCAR finish of all time. Coming to the end of the episode, and you know what that means. Time for predictions. This upcoming weekend in Atlanta, trucks, Xfinity, and Cup will all be racing. Predictions for trucks. Kyle Busch is making his first truck start of the season in Atlanta. He won that race last year. Think he will repeat. Xfinity. I know it's going to be one of the Richard Childress Xfinity cars. I just don't think they can be stopped. Is it going to be Austin Hill or is it going to be Jesse Love? Give me Austin Hill. Cup Series, after seeing that first race in Atlanta in person last year, anything can happen come the checkered flag. But give me Ryan Blaney. As always, we are sponsored by Magical Travel with Dave, a.k.a. Disney Dave Weichert, my father. He'll be able to help you with all your Disney and Universal vacation needs. He can be reached at DisneyDaveW@Verizon.net. Please make sure you follow all the Splash of Gas social medias for on-track and midweek updates. Instagram and Facebook are both Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert. Now available on Twitch for midweek Splash of Gas. Please check that out at _Dave Weichert. This brings us to the end of this episode. Had so much fun last week in Daytona, meeting so many new race fans. Hope everyone has a great weekend. Please check out the racing in Atlanta. Till next time, everyone. Splash of Gas out.